Welcome to the SaaStock How-To Series, in which we aim to answer questions posed by our community. I'm Alex Theuma, CEO of SaaStock, which helps SaaS companies get traction, grow, and scale. Delighted to be joined by Elias Torres, CTO and co-founder of Drift. Welcome, Elias.
Thank you for having me. We are the only way that we can meet over Zoom right now.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And it looks very nice and sunny where you are. I think in Massachusetts right now.
Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts. It's called Cape Cod, and right. So we're enjoying our summertime here, and just trying to stay home, stay put, being safe, wearing masks, and but just staying home and trying to fight COVID.
Yeah. Difficult times globally, as we were just sort of discussing offline, and so like our community, they've been posing questions to us, over the sort of last few months. One question that we've been asked is, how should the hiring plan change when scaling? Drift is a hyperscale company. What are your thoughts around this, and what have you been doing?
Yeah, and I think that we were talking about, should it be different with COVID? Should it be different with scaling, or is it the same thing? And I spend a huge percentage of my time recruiting. I mean, I probably close to, if not greater than 50% of my time. And so I think that my advice to founders is that hiring is one of the things that you have to own as a founder forever. And things like hiring, things like compensation, things like goal setting, rewards, right? Those are systems that you need to own forever, because this is the only way to bring consistency to the company. You do not want hiring to be different in every department, right? You don't have to do it all. You got to get to points where other people are doing the hiring. And so I think that that's why the advice is this is what I'm learning through my own mentors, right? And our investors and people with a lot more experience than I have. And I'm sharing with you that it sounds like a cliche, but you always have to hire for the highest quality possible, right? And highest quality, and it has to be the right person for the job, right? And I think that people underestimate this, and sometimes they just either interview someone they like or someone they got a recommendation from. But step one is really is defining a true scorecard. You have to know what role you need. And I'm telling you that it's very hard to write a scorecard, right? Sometimes people think that a scorecard is just simply saying, 2 years of experience on this, 5 years experience on that, a degree, or they had this title before, right? And not really. A scorecard needs to be something like, I need a person that has scaled a company from $1 to $10 million before, because I am in $1 million stage. Or you say, I'm in $100 million stage and I need to go to 250. Go hire someone that has done that, right? That has, if you currently are a company with 500 employees, don't hire someone that manages 10,000 employees. Go manage some, you know what I mean? So you got to get really specific. How much book of business do they manage? How much sales they accomplish? Was it recurring revenue? How many people did it lead? What segment of the market they sold? So you got to get very prescriptive and stick with that, because we waste too much time talking to people that don't fit the scorecard. And then we fall in love with them, and we like this person and so forth. And you're wasting your time. You gotta have a team aligned to the scorecard, and the 4 aspects of an interview that you have to find out, which are their employment experience that will help you fit the scorecard, that you have to still validate. I use the Who interview method. There's a book called The Who that people should use it to get really specific. The other one is that the knowledge and the skills are the 2 other things. Do they have the knowledge? And then do they have the skills to apply it? And the third one is the character traits, right, that you need. Intelligence, humility, drive, right? It's like, do they have the persistence? Do they have the drive, to the motivation to do the things, and how their principles align with you? One of the things that you see part of the pandemic that is happening in the United States, right, is Black Lives Matter, right, and that has been a major awakening in our society, and to discuss this elephant in the room that we don't talk about, that I've been a fighter of for a while now as a person of color, as a founder of color. How do we bring diversity into corporate America? And so I think that that's a fundamental thing that people don't think. They confuse. They think it's about color, and it's not about color. It's about values. It's like, what do I have as an immigrant from Central America coming to the United States, travel to Europe, travel to Asia, upbringing, my persona, my family, my situation, all of that, what makes me, that contributes those character traits to a company. And so it's a very, it requires a lot of focus and effort, right, to do hiring. And I want to encourage people to maintain that scorecard, to have a discipline. And in times like this, where there's a lot of unemployment, a lot of uncertainty, is actually a great time to hire, because this is where the most talent is available out there. But you have to be patient. And people don't realize that, I've learned this the hard way, that you can't be in a hurry to make a mistake. And so you have to wait and wait for the right person. And you say, this is the person that meets the scorecard. This is the person that I'm hiring, right? And not just compromise and hire someone of lesser quality. Impatience is what kills, is what makes the worst mistakes in hiring. And so that's kind of, I would say, my mindset, that it takes a while for it to click in, and for you to practice it every day when you're interviewing people.
Two questions on that. So what have you mentioned Black Lives Matter, and I want to know, I did read DC's email that sort of came out, I think probably the week of the protests, and or when they first sort of started, about being the new face of corporate America. And you mentioned about as Drift continue to scale and continue to hire, diversity being a big part of this. So what have Drift done around diversity? What is the diversity plan when hiring? I guess the first question, then we'll come to the other one.
So the thing is that in order to make a change, in order to change diversity in a company, is an entire process, right? It's not just sourcing, it's not just recruiting, it's not just interviewing, it's not just putting offers, but it's onboarding, and it's growing, it's developing, it's welcoming, and it's promoting them, right? And so it's a long journey. And so things that we're doing is the accountability that I'm putting on the leadership team at Drift with David, right, is really about we're looking at every person in our senior leadership meetings, and we're recruiting is something you visit bi-weekly, and it's like, where are we with the talent that we need? And we're looking at the diversity, we call them underrepresented people, hires, that each team is making, and what goal they have set for every quarter, right? And so it's like, that's how we're starting to move the needle, right? We also have a balanced hiring process, right, where we are making sure that we bring them into the pipeline. And I think this is why the scorecard is really important, right? Because it allows us, it gives us the luxury of to be able to wait and to remove some of the bias in it, and say, we need someone that has done this, right? And so we're going to have to go out and source, and then say, do that, but how do we get him higher? And that way we're not worried about, do we prefer this one because we're biasly, feel, if you're white and you hire someone that is white, and it's like, we went to the same school, we played in the same country club, whatever it is, we play the same sport or whatnot. Instead, we're focusing on the requirements, right? So we're doing that. We're doing, obviously, we are, I have a webinar called The American Dream, and the focus of that is really to become a voice for the Latinx community in the world, and say, I want to find them, I want to get to know them all, so we can actually have a sourcing, right? Because the biggest problem is that we're not going to the places where we are. And so we tend to be invisible. So there's a lot of effort constantly, and I'm working on many different changes in the company because I see many areas where we fall short. But I guess the biggest difference is that, and like last time I was in the office, you know, it's been amazing just to see. You can tell, like, you know, that we have 3 conference rooms that are just strictly for recruiting, for interviewing. And so the people that are coming in dressed up, and you see that flow, it's been a drastic change in drift in the past, you know, past 2 years, for like the kind of candidates that you see coming, because we're becoming much more of an open company, right? And focus on that. It's like sometimes I have to focus on the business, but this is very personal for me, right? And so there's a lot of progress, but oof, long road ahead. Our numbers are good, but it's something that is just in a vacuum. It's really our culture and how everybody thinks about it. And we have to keep innovating. You know, we have to keep, you know, I keep taking chances on things where, like, if I'm hiring an executive, I have to make sometimes some forcing functions to say, this person has to be underrepresented, period. I just can't. And then here's the scorecard, and let's meet the scorecard. Because otherwise it doesn't happen. We get lazy. And I think back to that principle, to not be in a hurry to make a mistake, you know.
The other question, obviously, and again, this sort of, I guess, sort of ties into the results of COVID, that there was this fear and expectation that, you know, we're going to see one of the biggest recessions in a very long time. And what we saw was that, you know, many companies perhaps preemptively made a lot of huge cuts, right? They either freeze their hiring plans or they make cuts, you know, 20%, because we're expecting that we need to kind of save some money. But in this case, and I don't know, like, what did Drift do? You know, because I think you've continued to hire, and correct me if I'm wrong, but given that, okay, you know, maybe the investors are saying, and you're seeing in the news that there's an upcoming recession, you know, what is the thought process around continuing to hire versus, you know, other companies which have just made cuts?
Yeah, I think that what we did as Drift, right, is really focus on our people first, right? Focus on the team and the well-being of the team. And what we wanted was really to, how can I say, fulfill our role in the community, right? That is to, as a company, is maintain as many jobs as possible, right? We didn't wanna cut just for sake of saving money. We are always we want to be we are a tough company. We're a performance-based company, right? It's like, it's about results and performance. It's not about just the budget, right? And so that's the dichotomy, right? And I'm transparent as this, so is David. But we were not going to say, let's just cut for the sake of cutting and saving budgets. What we did, though, is that the whole team got involved in expense reduction, right? And so we went around, and, you know, obviously all travel froze, all expenditures, and we focused on real estate. And so our CFO, our finance team, and our organization just went around the whole company, minimizing costs. We did all share the burden and freeze promotions and some of the stuff that we had, you know, our usual cadence. And so we did those things to make sure that we can extend the runway, right? Always, every business, that was the focus. Everybody was getting together and planning, how do you extend the runway? Because we did not know how long this was going to last, and it's still going. For example, our product organization did a fantastic job. I think there's a webinar out there, in that we focus on AWS expenditures and our COGS, you know, a huge part of our bill as well as people. And so we've been doing that, and we were not going to stop hiring, but what we did is shifted the quality, right? It's just to be more and more patient, because, you know, we have customers to serve. We have customers that want to buy our offering, and we, you know, the go-to-market part of our team has to continually scale with sales, with service, right, to the customers. So we have not, we slow down, but we have not stopped hiring, because we keep growing, we keep selling, and that's it's really important. The team is doing a lot from home and working even harder, I think, that they've ever worked, because there's no stopping now. And so we're trying to do that. And in fact, right now, we're on a day off. It's 4th of July in the United States, right? So that's on Saturday. and we gave everybody Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right, is the weekend, and we gave them Monday off because we had a fantastic quarter and the team pulled it through, working remotely during COVID. So we had, we're excited that you got to invest in the team, but we always going to review everything against performance, right, and results.
Amazing, amazing. Well, look, Elias, thank you so much for answering the community's question on how the hiring plan should change, both when you're scaling, both, you know, in COVID. Yeah. I really appreciate it. Great speaking to you. Thanks so much.
No problem. Stay safe there.